Hi everyone, Happy New Year and welcome back to the channel. Today we are building an icy cliff terrain piece that works great for D&D, Warhammer or any frost diorama. But first, as we are almost 2k sub on the channel, I want to take some time to thank you all. It started as a simple terrain hobby and seeing so many people enjoying these builds is incredible. So thank you to all of you for being part of it, and now let's get into the build. I started with a simple foam base and blocked out the main shape. I want a big flat play area in the front, but I kept the edges slightly sloped in order to sell the mountain formation. For the flat play area, I carved a checkerboard style grid in order to make running D&D combat easier. However, in order to represent the snow building up over time, I avoided straight edges on purpose. Each square of the grid will be 1 inch or 2.5 cm. I carve them using a hobby knife and then I will deepen it with a screwdriver. Instead of the screwdriver, I'm usually using a pen, but here I don't want a clean cut as I want to represent the ice on the area. And to finish this step, you will make some texture using a stone from your garden. For the next step, I wanted to add an elevated path alongside the cliff. This adds verticality to your gameplay. And in order to save money, I use some polystyrene foam from packaging for all the areas that won't be visible. It's lightweight, cheap, and easy to carve into the roof shape of a cliffs and slopes. And to attach everything to the main structure, I use some white glue, but also a whole bunch of toothpicks. And now that the base is done, we'll do the ice cliff. In order to do that, you will simply wiggle your foam against the hot wire. And don't worry about being neat, ice is broken, cracked and uneven. And in the next step, I will show you a nice trick in order to make some stairs that look like they've been carved out of the mountain. You will first draw the general stair shape in a big block of foam. You will then cut it and make sure to keep the edges on the side. And then you will simply cut the stairs itself. Each cut will represent one step. And next, each step will be cut a bit less wider than the previous one. And then you will glue back all the steps together and you will see that they fit perfectly between both edges. And with both last tricks, you can do a big set of ice wall for the back of the diorama, as well as a big set of stairs. And you can also prepare a set of ice columns that will be used to hide the polystyrene foam. And as you might have noticed, I made a small recess in the ice wall. I will show you now the trick to do that. If you like this video so far, please consider to subscribe to my channel. It will be super useful. You can also comment or like it. And the purpose of this recess will be to fit the ice wall into the elevated path. And as you will see, the path extends slightly beyond the edge. Therefore, in the next step, I will cut some slice of XPS foam in order to reinforce the bottom. The technique is always the same. You start by gluing it with white glue and then you will reinforce it with some toothpicks. And then you can replicate this technique in order to attach the ice wall. And then you can attach all the ice columns that you prepare. On the right side of the ice wall, I cut a part in order to install the stairs. And you can install it in whichever direction you prefer. Either directly in the direction of the elevated path, therefore those edges will serve as ice walls. But for gameplay purpose, I place it perpendicular to the path. And finally, you can add small pieces in order to make the junction between the wall and the path. And in order to reinforce the bottom of the stairs, you can use some leftover pieces from polystyrene foam. And once again, you will hide everything with ice blocks made of XPS foam. And here is the final result once all the XPS parts are done. And don't worry for all the protruding corners, we will hide everything by using some cheap filler. You will apply the biggest part using a spatula and then for the small corners you can use either a wet brush or your finger. And this is the result when everything is applied. You will have to wait 24 hours before everything is fully dry. And in the next step, you will have to paint everything white. In order to save time, on my side I use some Army Painter's Terrain Primer. It's already white, so it's at the same time a primer and a white paint. You can see that the diorama is already pretty nice, but if you want a more icy look, I will show you a technique. Basically, we will prepare a wash with some turquoise paint. To do that, you will mix together some water, the paint and a drop of dish soap. And to make it ultra icy, you can add a drop of white paint. And then you can apply it everywhere you want some ice and no snow. On my side, I did it on the wall, on the stairs and on the path. And the final step will be to apply some snow. On my side, I use soil snow from scale 75. It's quite expensive, but the result is really impressive and it's also super easy to apply. A cheaper alternative will be to mix some Army Painter's Battlefield Snow with some white glue and some white paint. And if you are really on a budget, you can replace the Battlefield Snow with baking soda. In case you want to see the result of the different mix, I made a dedicated video on the subject. And for the best effect, you have to concentrate the snow where it makes sense physically, on edges and flat areas. And here is the final result. It works as a dungeon wall, a frozen ruin, or a dramatic combat backdrop. And because it's scratch built, you can easily expand this into a full icy dungeon. If you like this build, please let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more ice terrain or a full modular set. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.